Hi, I'm Dawn Dodson, Eastern Panhandle Board of Realtors Secretary, and we're going to have some fun with you today.
My name is Margie Bartles. I think all of you have met me in CE class, and we're going to talk about some documents today that we want you to have some information on.
Hey Margie, I'm getting ready to write West Virginia residential sales contract, and I can't find the jurisdictional addendum. I think it's lost.
Funny you should say that, Dawn. It's not even in the documents anymore. It's been incorporated into the residential sales contract, and it actually saves you 2 pages in the documents you're going to do.
Oh, that's wonderful. But there's a lot of stuff in that jurisdictional addendum. Like time is of the essence. Where is that now?
What the Board of Realtors Forms Committee has done is incorporated all of the information from the jurisdictional addendum into the contract itself. And if you'll look at page 2 of the new residential contract in number 3, it talks about time is of the essence, time is not of the essence. We'll let the consumer make those choices when you explain that right at the beginning of the document so that they're very well aware what they can do with the document.
Oh, so it's really important since it's at the beginning now of the contract.
It is.
I get it. Well, why is there always a problem with EMD? What's up with that?
Well, and refer yourself back to principles because I taught you.
Indeed.
Indeed. And the earnest money deposit is actually an agreement of the parties so that the seller and the buyer can decide on the earnest money deposit, and we have it at the beginning of the offer sheet, the contract, so that you'll know right up front, Mr. Buyer, am I going to offer a deposit? And indeed, the attorney can hold a deposit, the listing company can hold a deposit, the selling company can hold a deposit. That's the agreement of the parties.
So we don't actually have to have an EMD.
You do
if
not.
Everybody agrees.
Indeed. If the seller and the buyer agree, indeed, you don't need an EMD.
Okay.
How about that?
Thanks, Margie. I really appreciate your help.
One thing that I'd like to talk about with the EMD is that indeed, if there is an earnest money deposit in dispute, we need you as the agent to remember you're not the person who decides the disposition of the EMD. The seller and the buyer decide that.
Okay, so that's really good information to have and understand what's the deal with that.
Indeed.
So I'm always curious about in the mailing address section, what are we supposed to put in there?
Well, it's really important that your broker actually have a way to actually contact the consumers if there's a need. Indeed, often if there is a check that is to be returned as an earnest money deposit, we need a mailing address to know where to send a check. It's really important. We don't often need the mailing address, but when we need it, we really need it.
And I always thought the mailing address was the broker's mailing address.
Yeah, and realistically, we all know the broker's mailing address. I don't know that makes much difference with anything.
Yeah. The other thing that always messes me up is the tax ID number. Do we really have to have that? I mean, what's the purpose of it?
Well, the tax ID number actually marries the actual mailing address to the legal address. Think back to your principles class and remember that the mailing address can change, but the legal address never does.
Oh, okay. So that's how the assessor knows where the property is.
Indeed.
All right. That's good to know.
Yes.
All right.
Let's talk about property maintenance a minute.
Okay.
Number 9 in that sales agreement talks about the contract is contingent on inspections or is not. Do you fill that one in for your buyers?
Well, I always ask them about, what their expectation is. Usually I go by the date of the contract.
Indeed.
Because that's where I always think, well, if they saw it and it looked like this, then when they purchase it, it should look like this.
Indeed. And the real area that I want to concentrate on is the contract contingent on inspections or is it not? And contingent on inspections means any inspection. Doesn't mean just the home inspection. It could be a termite, it could be a roof inspection, it could be a pool inspection. But that area of the contract, if there's any inspection you want to mark, yes, there are inspections.
Okay. I'll remember that now.
Yep. And then the last area, remember you asked me about that buyer due diligence?
Oh, yes, that always confuses me. What are they really supposed to be doing?
Well, some buyers have more needs about information than others. And what the jurisdictional always did, and now the residential sales contract does, is it says to the buyer, this is your due diligence area to find out these things. Not for the agent to find them out for you, but for you to find it out.
And I always wonder what is my limit of what I should be doing for the buyer. So if they want to know whether the septic is any good, that's up to them to find that out.
The reality is the buyer can find it out, or they can make the contract contingent on a well and septic inspection. And it can be at their expense or the seller's.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Always good to teach you, Dawn.
And I'm happy to learn. Hi, it's always best for you to contact your own broker. I work very hard with agents and want them to do their best job, but I too have a broker that I have to consult. So always check with your broker before you fill out a document.
Guys, we really appreciate you listening to our YouTube rants today. And what I would also say is consult your broker with any questions. Your broker may have a different opinion than us, and that's just fine. And always remember, the West Virginia Real Estate Commission really determines the law, not how you do your business, other than following the law. Take care.
Hey folks, thanks so much for watching today. Margie and I are really happy to try and help you do a better job being a realtor and protecting your clients' interests. Have a great one.
Thanks so much. Take care.